Hello and welcome to the 86th gathering of the Adventure Party on this, the 4th of February, 2018. I'm your party leader, Brad Ludwig. We ask that you peace tie your swords, holster your blasters, and be ready to level up your character before you are gathered at the meeting table. We are going to be talking about, and thanks to Movie Man Mark for the topic, and that is merit-based versus milestone-based experience points gathering to level up your characters. So let's thank some folks for helping make the Galactic Network what it is. And those would be our Patreon partners, Brian Jensen, Amy Cantwell, Amy Frost, Growly Bear, Jackie Hearn, and JF DeBow. And we'll be talking a little bit more later on how you can be a partner in the Galactic Netcast Network. Second in command, of course, is Glenn Bittner. Hi, Glenn.
Hi, Brad.
I hear you review movies, and you actually created an RPG called Mist Runner, and you are finishing up your prequel, Demon Eater. How are you?
Finishing, yeah. Finish.
Don't wreck it. Don't wreck it. Finishing implies continued progress at a steady pace.
Yes, exactly. That is exactly it. It is in this case, I am happy I don't have lots of fans badgering me for it. So
oh, poor
I am
Pat.
well otherwise.
Good to hear. You've not gotten any of the colds and or flus that have been running about?
Oh, sure I did.
Uh-oh.
That's why I left early from Freaksmas.
Oh, shit, that's right. Oh, I forgot about that. That was kind of a bummer. But at least you got to hang out for a bit.
Yeah, I did. It was great to hang out, great to play some games, one of which I'll be talking about shortly.
Excellent. Yeah, we... never mind. I'll save that for when you do your review.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to jump into our roundtable talk. We're going to do a game review. When I say we, I mean Glenn. I didn't find any gaming news that I felt was really worth talking about, so we're going to skip that this time. And then we are going to jump into our discussion. So let's kick things off, Glenn, with you reviewing something that I actually got for Christmas and still have not played yet, although we did play the original version. Well, the original plus the update. Well, what you got, Glenn?
I have Betrayal at Baldur's Gate from Mike Merrills and Chris Dupuis. From Wizards of the Coast. This is, if you are not familiar, it is based off of Betrayal at House on the Hill.
I'm sorry, that is Dupuis.
Dupuis, yeah. This one is for 3 to 6 players, plays in about 60 minutes, and retails for $50. So basic premise is the shadow of Baal has come over Baldur's Gate, summoning monsters and other horrors from the darkness. As you build and explore the iconic city's dark alleys and deadly catacombs, you must work with your fellow adventurers to survive the terrors ahead. That is, until some horrific evil turns one, or possibly more, of you against each other. Was it a mind flayer's psionic blast, or the whisperings of a deranged ghost that caused your allies to turn traitor? You have no choice but to keep your enemies close. So, this is... First of all, for those who are worried and those who are familiar with Betrayal at House on the Hill, this is not just simply a blah reskinning of Betrayal at House on the Hill. This is, yes, there are definite similarities in that you are going to be triggering, a quote-unquote haunt and stuff like that and having those things happen. But there's some differences. One is that when you choose your character, it's a character. It's not just simply, you're not just Flash who's fast or Ox who's strong or the professor who's smart. You might be the Ranger who, yes, you are very quick, but you also have a special ability called Death Mark that you can tag someone with, and you get a bonus pip every time you attack them. So you could be the rogue who can move through other players and bad guys as well without having to spend extra movement. So everyone gets a special ability based on their class, which is kind of nifty.
Nice.
They also fixed up the haunt rules a bit, where it's pretty much, it is absolutely impossible to trigger a haunt on the first haunt roll now.
I've played a game where it was triggered after the third roll. The third person. We didn't even finish a turn.
Yeah.
Around.
So I mean, technically, if you're playing like a 4 or 5 player game, you could technically do that if all 4 players walked into their first room and got an omen. Because I believe you have to. You roll. What is it? You roll dice equal to the number of omens that have been revealed, and you have to hit at least a 4. So you could technically trigger it after 2 if you roll 2s on both dice. But that first one you can't do it because you can't get a 4 on 1 die. So that's nice that they fixed that. It does a great job at kind of capturing the feel of kind of Baldur's Gate as well, because I've played through now 5 of the different haunts, and each one's a little different. We've got, Xanathar the Beholder shows up, and you've got there's a psionic or the Mind Flayers. They showed up. So it really does a great job of capturing a lot of what I love about Betrayal at House on the Hill, that whole, hey, we're all friends until we're not. And it's that I love the, not just simply the traitor mechanic, but the fact that no one knows who the traitor is, including the traitor themselves, until it actually happens.
Yep.
So you're all trying to be like, and part of that, because you know that it's going to happen, everyone's kind of hoarding stuff for themselves for one of 2 reasons. Either if I'm not the traitor, I want to make sure I have good stuff to survive whoever the traitor is, or if I'm the traitor, I want to have all the good stuff and make sure no one else does. So it captures all of that, as well as giving me that kind of feel of Baldur's Gate that I love. So this one, I was looking forward to this one. I had my concerns that it was just be a reskinning. It's not, which makes me super happy. So, and you haven't played it yet, eh?
No, I have not. And my one criticism that I have about, and this is the original Betrayal, is the clips. Hang on. When I say the clips, I want to show the folks that are checking us out on YouTube what I mean. If you look at Azzadine's card here, there are clips that are on the side which point to what the current physical and or mental attributes, their scores at that moment in time. And the clips that we have on our original Betrayal at a House on the Hill, they slip off so easy. They don't really stick. Like if you bump your card, your numbers are going to be all jumbled, and you better hope that you remember what your numbers were at before you bumped your card. Are these clips a little tighter? Do you feel with this?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. Definitely tighter. These they go on nicely, so they're not too tight, because that's been a problem I've seen too. Is that you can't get them on without wrecking the cards. But no, these go on nice and smooth. They stay in place. They move easy enough, but they don't just slide on their own like the original one did.
Yeah. I know that, and this is most certainly related, a company called Broken Token makes organizational systems for certain games that are like laser cut. Basically, they're laser cut pieces of wood that you break apart and assemble. and it still fits within the box, the original box that you were given, but it is always far better than the original organizational system that you're given with the game. And I know that with Betrayal, they actually provide new clips that you can use on the cards, which I
Yeah.
thought was kind of cool. So, having said that, I still need to invest it's like $40, I think, for that organizational system from Broken Token or something like that, 30 or 40. But quite honestly, it would be well worth it because those it's so hard to keep all the pieces straight. And
Yeah.
as things progress in the game, I highly recommend the game as you highly recommend Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. Great games, absolutely great games, and it's nice to know that this successor, maybe not successor, well, not successor, but what would you call this? I mean, it's not exactly the same.
No. I mean, I would still call it a. This is a. How about a reboot? or a it's a parallel universe sequel.
A close cousin, yes, to the original Betrayal. But yeah, God, it's a great game. Speaking for the original, it's nice to know that this is just as good, and I'm really looking forward to actually getting the opportunity to break out Betrayal at Baldur's Gate and actually giving that a try. I got the very first edition of Betrayal at House on the Hill when it was done by Avalon Hill, before it was purchased. It was bought out when Avalon Hill was its own entity. And I actually was missing some important the cards. Like with this game, you construct a room, or in this particular case with Betrayal at Baldur's Gate, you're assembling the castle as you move through
the city, yeah,
the city.
And you only have there's only 2 levels. So there's the streets, which includes like buildings, and then there's the catacombs and sewers.
Oh wow!
It's also, you can get into the catacombs and the sewers right away. You don't have to find a way into the basement like you do with the house.
And with the Widow's Walk expansion, they actually give you the roof, so you have 4 levels to play through in Betrayal on House on the Hill. So that's kind of cool that they streamlined that a little bit too. Anyways, with the original Avalon Hill, I was actually missing room cards. So there was a particular haunt type where you had to get to the library, and I didn't have a library tile for you to flip over.
Oh well,
yeah. So in harder. I had to like go through and find a website that had like a listing of the different tiles, and actually like I basically cut paper squares out and actually wrote down library. So it would be something that you could actually have in the game. The nice thing was I wrote to Avalon Hill and gave them a list of the tiles that I needed that were missing, and they got me all but one. And I just kind of left it there. But when Anessa moved in with me, she had her own copy, so we ditched mine. My original, with all its extra. I had like an extra bonus booklet of errata to clarify some of the rules from first edition, which they have since completely fixed, which is nice. Anyways, long story short, the Betrayal games, no matter which one you pick, are well worth the money that you spend, highly replayable, affordable, and well worth their weight in gold, as it were. Again, it retails for approximately what?
$50.
Yeah.
So it's the same price as regular Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Yeah. I have played Betrayal between the two different copies that we've had at least a dozen times. And no two games have ever been the same. And with the Widow's Walk expansion, I think that there are 80 plus different haunts. So there are 80 plus different scenarios that you could possibly play out as when the traitor is revealed, which is fun. So,
yeah.
All right. Thank you for giving us that review of Betrayal at Baldur's Gate.
Absolutely. I have killed all of my friends numerous times. I've been the traitor every game I've played.
Oh, really?
Yep, 5 times in a row.
Oh,
and I've won every time.
Oh.
So I feel a little bad. Only a little, though.
Only a little. There's no shame in that. So, before we move on, I did want to talk to you once again about dieharddice.com. They have a lot of amazing, affordable metal dice. They have the folding dice trays, which are really freaking handy. We've used it not only in our role playing when we play. Right now, we're playing Planet Mercenary, but also when we were playing Betrayal at House on the Hill. We passed around the dice tray because we didn't have a whole lot of room at the table to throw around dice, and you didn't want to knock any of the, the house tiles around for each of the floors. So it's nice to be able to contain your dice throwing. And I'm gonna just. They introduced something, and I think we talked about it a little bit last time. But this royal blue is absolutely gorgeous. This picture does not do it justice. Anessa saw it, fell in love with it, and ordered it. So now not only does she have the new blue velvet, but she's got the gray velvet. And I have a feeling that we're going to have a red velvet one. Every time they release something new, we order something. And they know us by name, which is kind of cool. And you too can get that kind of. They give amazing service, and you can get that kind of service and that one-on-one attention that large companies don't really give you. Todd and his wife run a tight ship there, and they do a great job. If you use the coupon code upon checkout, Adventure Party, all one word, Adventure Party, you can get 10% off your total order. So check them out, dieharddice.com. You'll look at their metal dice prices and you'll think that they're absolutely insane because they are incredibly affordable for metal dice. And they also offer polymer dice sets, and they're constantly adding to their stable of products that they're releasing all the time. So check them out. Highly recommend them. dieharddice.com. All right. Kickstarter Spotlight. Last time when we got together, we spent all of our time talking to the guys from Milk Can about Jesus wept.
Game 4.
Thank you. My brain turned.
I now just got my stores verified on it. They're just starting up that. So
yeah, they did just put out another update, and yeah, now they have included a store side ability for you to put in your store and apply. I'm sorry, to put your store into the system and allow you to list your game events, which is really cool. But we skipped the news. We're going to skip the news again, and we skipped the Kickstarter spotlight. So the one that I was holding on to from last time, we're going to talk about this time, and that is John Carter of Mars, the role-playing game. Now, typically, when we talk about a Kickstarter, when we do the show, we try to pick something that's got more than a week to go. Sadly, because we skipped it last time and I kept it, and it's such a beautiful looking game. It's modifious. I mean, that's really all you have to say. It's modifious. There's 6 days to go as of today, February 4th. But they were looking for a pledge goal of, well, in US dollars, 28,245. They are currently at 202,833.
No, that's not right.
I'm sorry, their pledge level, their original pledge level was 28,245. They are currently at 202,834.
Are you sure? Refresh your page. They're at 211,000.
Hang on.
At least on where I'm looking at, it says $211,000. Or maybe the dollars to pounds conversion rate is different in Wausau than it is in Milwaukee.
No, I'm wondering, well, maybe Google is holding on to a cached version because I've had this up for a little while. Maybe a bunch of people ordered since I... Okay, we'll go with Glenn's number, 211,000. Regardless, they have more than blown past what they were looking for. So this is definitely going to happen, and it's modifious, so there is zero doubt that it will come out in a timely fashion and that it will be of the highest quality. Because you're not only getting the RPG rules, you're getting some beautiful, and I need to share the screen on this because it is absolutely beautiful. This is a rotating animation for YouTubers that are checking us out. Highly detailed miniature. All of them are to scale as to the actual size. Well, you know what I'm saying. The humans and I'm pretty sure that that's Deja Thoris or somebody like her. They're absolutely gorgeous. And with all the extra goals that they've managed to blow through, they have got some more of the Tharks and other people from the books.
Yep.
And all of these miniatures are absolutely stunningly detailed and beautiful.
Yeah.
And they're releasing specialty dice sets for this, depending on, you know, what faction, or they have different faction type dice that are available. It just absolutely gorgeous. Excuse me. If you want to get in at the, let's see, the base level that will get you, I mean, if I were to get this, is that the Barsoom Miniatures, the Helium? Trying to find something that has all of the miniatures.
Swords of Mars miniature collection, $200.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, $203. And you're saying that's a lot. Well, you're not wrong. Um, if you're a miniatures person, getting in at the $203 level would not be bad at all to have these. But you could just go in at the, say, if you just want the game, no miniatures, $20 gets you the core book PDF. 34 American dollars gets you the miniatures. 47 gets you the PDF collection, which is all the PDF books and tiles and cards for the game. So, I mean, they have multiple levels for you to check this out at, depending on how much you want to invest in this and have miniatures available for this. Because I can't think of anybody offhand. Reaper might have somewhat close stuff, but not anything specific to the creatures of Mars that Edgar Rice Burroughs had created for the books. It's such a specialized thing. I don't think that you could, if you really into if you're really a stickler for having miniatures for your particular characters that you're playing, you really need to throw in the money to get the miniatures because they are so beautiful, in my opinion. Yeah, so there you go. John Carter of Mars, the role-playing game, is our Kickstarter spotlight for this time. And 6 days to go. Whew. Get on it quick.
And if you miss it, you can come buy it at my store and shortly after it's published, because it's from Modiphius and we carry their products.
Yes, they will definitely have that available in retail settings. So there is also that. So what we wanted to discuss today is, and again, thanks to Movie Man Mark from the Spoiler Room and the Final Cut for this idea, to discuss the different types of experience points that can be, well, not different types of experience points, but different ways to dole out experience, yes, to level up characters. And the two major ones that I can think of are merit-based and milestone-based. And there are pros and cons to both. And we wanted to kind of discuss what those are and our recommendations for when we run a game, how we like to dole out experience.
And I would like to mention my disdain for a third type of experience points awards, and that is for outside of game favors for the Dungeon Master or Game Master.
Oh, jeez.
Which I have experienced. People who bring the Dungeon Master soda get like 100 experience, and people who do other things get. I'm like, that's not right. I don't think that's fair. It says, oh, you got more money than me, so there you can go up a level before me because you can buy a pizza for the Dungeon Master.
Yeah, that's crap.
It is.
So we're not even those guys. That's as much as we'll discuss that.
Yes.
One of the things that I remember when I got my Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master book back in the 80s was a list of a pretty comprehensive list of, you get X number of experience points for, picking a lock, picking a purse, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my first thought was, wow, you really have to be on your game, literally, as a dungeon master to start writing all that stuff down, or making sure that your player is writing that down, or you have to stop gameplay. Like if you're doing it as a dungeon master, that's a lot of extra work that you need to do. But either that, or you have your players actually write it down, but then you got to stop the gameplay to go, oh, you just picked a lock, that's 5 XP. You picked a purse, that's 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
And that really seemed to me like a lot of hassle. There are people that really need that type of affirmation. I'm going to call it affirmation for the deeds that they do in the game. And I remember playing with a group of people where we had one person, Kurt, who was, he looked like a young Mark Twain. It was very odd, interesting dude. But if he did something, he needed to have the experience points, and you had to stop the game so that he could write it down. It was very important to him because he needed to make sure that he leveled up his character in an appropriate fashion. Oddly enough, he was a rules lawyer. That's my sarcasm voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really ran a D&D adventure per se. I was absolutely enthralled with the RPG in it of itself, but I never really ran any D&D. When I did come to run games, like running White Wolf type stuff, I just basically had a number in my head. You showed up and you contributed, and then I gave everybody their own little bits of experience. I had kind of like in my head a base number, and then if they did extraordinary things in the game, either heroic or whatever, I gave them a little bit extra. So, I mean, you can argue that that's subjective, but that's less accountancy on my part, and I didn't have to stop gameplay to assign that. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to talk with you about what your thoughts are on that and how you run things. And let's just start with you and Mistrunner. You created an RPG. How did you handle that?
I generally, if I'm running a game, especially like with Mistrunner, if I'm just running a normal game that is not like sanctioned in some way with some other authority, like say the Adventurers League for D&D, I am very casual with how I handle experience. A lot of times I dole it out as I don't break down all the numbers. I've seen people who will be like, well, this monster was worth 425 experience points, and they would break it down by who did the most damage and then divide it up that way. I've seen other people who the only person who gets experience is whoever delivers the killing blow, which I think is ridiculously stupid.
Oh, ouch.
Because it's like, hey, I'm the fighter. I did 86 points of damage to that dragon. The thief hit it with a dart for 4, which killed it.
Yeah.
He gets that's. So I will award XP obviously for killing creatures and stuff like that, but like in Mistrunner, it is you get it for using your skills because it's a skill-based system. So when you use skills, you can improve those skills. I don't let you just use random experience to say, oh, I'm going to make this skill over here better that I've never used. Yeah. I have ways you can do that. You can go out and spend money and train and all that stuff and find a teacher, sure, but that's never easy and it takes time. But I like to reward role playing more than just simply I killed stuff. and not just simply that I roll dice well. I like to reward when people talk their ways out of what should have been a combat. If you can talk your way out of what should have been a fight, oh my gosh, you were getting some serious experience from me. If you just do things that, if you can role play your character without doing it in the cheesy way of the I'm just playing my character, that's why I'm robbing from my teammates. But if you can do it in a way that actually is, you have say created a character background like we talked about, and you are using things in that background in a way that makes your character basically seem more like an actual person than just a series of stats that you min-maxed, then yes, you're going to earn more experience from me. I don't like being tied. I mean, rules for me are in all ways are supposed to be a rough guideline to solve things when we need to advance the story. They are not meant to replace the story. They're not meant to be the story. And that's how I've always felt. So having to get bogged down in the, well, okay, so if I calculate, so you picked 5 locks, you got this, you detected 2 traps, you disarmed one of them successfully, you killed 4 skeletons, and you talked to this one guy and haggled him down in price. So you get, 193.78 experience points. No, I don't want to do that. I want to just be like, hey, this was really cool. You did this. And then like D&D, when I used to run D&D, I would just simply, every now and then I would say, all right, you guys level up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say you earned this much experience. It'd be like, hey, at the end of this, you guys are all going to level up at the end of the night. So take care of that. Because I didn't like the other thing where it's like, okay, so now, especially in the older rules of D&D, where it's like, you're a thief. Well, guess what? By the time the wizard hits level 2, I'm like level 4 as a thief if we're getting the same experience points. Because they had it so unbalanced in the, I think a wizard needed like 2,500 or 3,000 experience, or was it 4,000? I don't remember. It was an insane amount where a thief needs 1,250 to level up to level 2. So he's like level 3 or 4 before the wizard hits level 2. And they've balanced it now where everyone just simply goes, at this here, and here, everyone levels up the same amounts. And if I'm running sanctioned stuff, then I pay more attention to stuff like that. But I will still do some merit-based, basically, or, you role played well. I will give bonuses for that. So. That's how I liked it. That's how I like to do it.
Yeah,
like and to be more free with what I do, man.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm kind of the same way. It's and it's something I try to lay out front. If I'm going to run, here's how I'm going to do it. So if you do run into the person who's got to, be, they like that high level of accountancy for, actual like experience for, 25 points for this and that, whatever. Unless you're playing a system where it just doesn't, that's not really the thing. You know what I'm saying? There are systems out there where it's up to the game master to decide when people level up, which is, it's nice to have that freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Because you and I, and it's hard to do this because you and I really are on the same side of this topic, because we don't like to be tied down to, I need to give you X amount for X thing that you've done. I don't think that's fun for anybody, especially with all the prep that you need to do and all of the, kind of thinking on your feet and making sure everybody's having a good time and everybody's, getting as much playtime as possible and getting everybody involved. And you shouldn't have to stop and write down somebody did this. So they should, it just, no, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't complement gameplay, and it doesn't keep the flow going.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear from folks that are listening to this or watching this. And you can email us adventure at gncasts.com and let us know if you think we're full of shit or whatever. That's fine. But you and I are of the same mind. There shouldn't be that stopping gameplay for the accountancy. Nobody, at least you and I, don't enjoy crunching numbers or writing down numbers or stopping gameplay to give people how much they should have for whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, I know people who do that, and if that's your style, I mean, that's
like
God
bless if you can do that.
Yeah,
and keep a game running. I can't. I feel like I'm robbing time away from people if I had to do that. So, I mean, if you can do that and keep a good game flow, my hat's off to you, because I can't do that. I just can't. So, when it does come time for you to dole out points, like I mentioned, when I run a game, I will, if somebody does something kind of spectacular, I give them a little bit more than the base level of XP per game. Do you think that that's fair? Do you feel that because there's a possibility that maybe your GM forgets something that happened, or somebody did something that they thought was either outside of their character's comfort zone or something that they wouldn't normally do, but didn't necessarily merit, saving an NPC's life, or not to that level? Do you think that that's unfair? Do you know what I'm saying? If somebody thinks that they did something spectacular that didn't really have the notice of the GM, and it is not taken into account, do you think that that's unfair to the player?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I think if things are understood from the get-go and these aren't surprises.
Yeah.
I mean, if your players are expecting it to be one way and all of a sudden it's not, well then yeah, I can see that being unfair to the players. If a player doesn't realize that they're going to get, they're going to get rewarded in some ways, penalized in others, and they don't know that going in, then yeah, that's not fair. But if you lay down like, this is how I award experience, then I don't think it is. Then I think it's perfectly fair. So,
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. All right. Well, that's all I can really think about to discuss pros and cons wise for this. Is there anything you think that we've missed, or something that we should expand upon?
I don't know. I would just say, do what works for your group. If your group is much more, we just want to, straight up kill things. And, if you have people who, and you're comfortable with running basically munchkin players who do nothing but kill stuff, get treasure, go up levels, kill stuff, get treasure, go up levels, then yeah, you probably just want to, they want you to be calculating every point. And if that's the group you want to run, that's the group you want to play in, then go for it. If you want to be more focused on the story, and then you can have a balance between the two as well. You can have more focus on the story and still, if you want to, check all of those boxes, make sure that everyone gets exactly to the letter of the experience they want, fine. But for me, it's always been more about the stories that we can tell at the table. And the numbers, a lot of times, when I have to stop, and calculate who all did what every single time and for experience, I don't want to play that game. I really don't. And that's why, in regards to why I think that I love like online or computer role playing games, because I don't need to figure any of that. It's done for me automatically. But then I miss all the social aspect, which is why I play. I
Yeah.
play for the
Yeah.
social aspect, and that's, if I just want experience, I can play a computer game. If I want experience with people, an experience, not the experience. I want an experience. Then I'm gonna do it in my more relaxed way, whenever I can. Again, some certain situations, if when I run adventurously for my store, there's expectations of how you run things, because the people should be able to take their character and go play at some other store. And if I'm doling out experience, willy nilly, as it were, that could be deemed as unfair to people who are playing by a different set of rules in the same system. But
Sure.
if you're at my table, yeah, you know, I might say you get, hey, okay, you guys all got 1,000 experience, whatever. Or I might just say, hey, everyone levels up. Or I might just say to you, if you're playing Mystery, I might say, hey, you can increase your stealth by 1 die, or you can increase your persuasion by a die, because you used it so well numerous times. And I might keep little notes when someone does something really cool, so that I remember that. Oh yeah,
Sure.
that was a great thing he did there. I'm gonna write the little note down. Particularly because I have seen players who will try to steal the thunder from other players. Oh yeah, when I talked that king out of it's like, you didn't do that. That was the paladin who did that. Which was surprising, because the paladin does not have the diplomatic skills to pull it off, but he did. Which is why it made for such even better role play, because he did such a good
Sure.
job of what he's normally not good at.
Yep.
So, and that's it. And especially when you step out of your character's, confined role, as it were, and you do something well without metagaming, I have to add.
Yeah.
As long as you're not using, stuff your character wouldn't know or be able to do, if you can somehow break your mold a little bit and step out of your comfort zone, oh, I love that, and you will get such a bonus from me. I am a story whore, so.
Yeah, I know one thing that I try to do for the Dirgewood, the Wild West White Wolf game that I run, is make sure that when people are successful rolling something, that they mark it on their sheet, so that when it comes time to spending points, that's where a lot of that would end up going. Because I'm of the same mind too, of, if you played a game and you didn't drive a car or whatever, you shouldn't be able to pump up your driving skill, because you didn't really have time to better yourself at the thing. So again, I'm kind of the same mind there too. It just doesn't make sense to me in the way that we play. It just doesn't flow. All right. Well, if you guys who are checking this out, I know I mentioned this before, but you can get a hold of us at adventure@gncasts.com and let us know what you think as well. I think it's time to wrap things up here. So if you'd like to chat with the hosts or other listeners of this Galactic Network podcast 24 hours a day, you can go to gncasts.com/sign up, and we'll add you to our Slack team, so you'll have the ability to interact with us in real time. Again, you can go to gncasts.com/sign up. For more on this podcast, including show notes, contact info, and more, you can go to gncasts.com/adventure. If you have a question or comment about anything that you've heard on this Galactic Network podcast, you can email adventure@gncasts.com. Leave a voicemail message or text message to the number 805-328-3966. Again, 805-328-3966. Or you can go to gncasts.com/contact. And we do read, listen to, and appreciate all of the feedback that you give us. Please subscribe to this Galactic Network podcast by going to gncasts.com/subscribe, or you can search iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, or anywhere podcasts are offered. And thanks, last but not least, to Mark Wooldridge, who composed our theme music. He has a little thing that he calls, and by little I mean it's pretty freaking awesome, because he's done scores for independent films and other work as such. Central Battery Music Works is where you should go to check out what Mark Woldridge does. So, Glenn, I want to thank you for joining us once again to discuss gaming stuff. As we do, where can people find out more about you, your movie reviews, and Mistrunner?
You can find out more on Facebook with Mistrunner the RPG, Demon Eater the RPG. You can go to mistrunner.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Guy in a Bunker. Check out my podcasts that I do. I haven't done my movie reviews for a while with the Movie Bunker. It's been on a hiatus, probably will be for a little while still, but you can still find me occasionally on the Spoiler Room and also on Astro Radio Z, where we're doing our yearly franchise, this year being the American Ninja franchise. So you can check that out as well.
American Ninja. Wow, that's something I haven't thought about in forever.
You're better off.
That's kind of how I felt when I watched my first American Ninja movie in the 80s. Yes.
I just finished rewatching number 3. So, yeah.
You know what? If I'm not going to ask you what your thoughts are, people should check you out and find out.
Oh yeah, well, the bad guys are Larry Bird and Captain Stubing. And then you have your trio of heroes, which, from what I can tell, are Apollo, Creed, Fritz, and Scooby-Doo, and Derek Zoolander. So, seriously, the ninja guy walks around the whole time like with blue steel or whatever it is, Magnum, whatever, blue steel. That's the one. He's giving that look like the whole movie. So yeah, it's great 80s fun.
Well, thanks to everybody for joining us for the Adventure Party. May your characters never die and your adventures always be epic. Thank you and good night.